From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, show about Star Wars, pop culture, and the ultimate adventure, life itself. I'm Ken Napzok.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw.
And as you can see, Jennifer Landa is out again. It's the holidays. When you're raising a family, it's hard to just sit and talk about Star Wars first. So we send our regards to Jen to survive the holidays with family around. And she'll be back to normal in December. We are going to be looking at Star Wars Visions Volume 3, Episode 7, 8, and 9. This has been our slow crawl through these 9 episodes. We wanted to give them the time, and that includes, time to watch them, not just talk about them, and I was able to do that. As always, we want to remind you that today's show is brought to you by our merch shop on Fourth Wall. That's right, pick up something Force Center related. By that, I mean our logo on something you can use, like a coaster, a mug, a pint glass. It's the holidays. Maybe someone in your life is a Force Center fan, or maybe you are in your life and you're a Force Center fan and you want to get yourself something. Head on over to forcecenter-shop.fourthwall.com. That's forcecenter-shop.fourthwall.com. That is that. We have some goals in place, Joseph, here for the end of the year.
That is right. We are building to 10,500 subscribers on YouTube. We're really happy with the growth we've had on YouTube, and we want more, just like Ben Solo, except for in a friendly way. We're screaming more in a friendly tone. So if you can join us and help us get to that goal, we would appreciate it. We're also trying to be a little bit more active on TikTok and Blue Sky. Sometimes that goes better than other times, but should you choose to,
Studio. Yep.
All plugs will now be kind of cute Judy Garland songs. Should you choose to join us, please do so on Blue Sky and TikTok.
I choose you. Yeah, that's on me. I just gotta feel. I had last week this thing I did about Ken Burns is still the most viewed thing in my career that I made by myself, and all I did was step outside my house and film something for 30 seconds. And all these things I put effort in, and no one watches. We just, what a time.
Isn't it always the way? What a time.
What a time.
What a time to be alive. Yeah. Yes. No, I am just totally out of rhythm with the way we used to social media. It used to be just so natural, and I'm trying to get back to nature when it comes to social media. We'll get there. We'll get there.
The natural way. But we are going to get to Star Wars Visions Volume 3, Episodes 7, 8, and 9, completing the run. We've had a lot of fun diving into it. I've been always honest with my spot. These are things that are I'm less pulled in by other people, but every time I sit down, I'm always like, ooh, that's fascinating. Ooh, that's cool. Ooh, that's neat. It's just all these are full of interesting ideas. So it's been fun diving.
Yeah, me too. And I think I was really thinking about it this week when I sat down to watch these. Is I think part of it for me with Visions and with the bite-sized storytelling is I think I'm just tired of being pulled in 800 directions. It's so nice to just like sit down and stay in a world or stay in one story. And I think the way life is constructed, the way social media is constructed, it's just like, here, absorb 18 ideas. You should, check on the news. Here's 18 different things to look at. And with the algorithms of Facebook and Instagram in particular being even less geared to what are friends up to, but like, do you want to go to this concert? Did you miss out on this special red splatter vinyl of your favorite band? Do you want to see this movie in 70 millimeter before it's gone? Do you want to be sure to take sewing? It's I had a really interesting experience before I sat down to watch this. Is I opened social media and was reminded that it was the anniversary of Doctor Who, and I started reading a Doctor Who book, and then I was like, oh, but I got to watch some Star Wars. That's fine. I'll get out of Doctor Who and back into Star Wars. But real quick, let me check my phone, and it was like, here's something about Twin Peaks. Here's something about Guns N' Roses. Here's something about James Bond. Here's something about every other thing you're interested in the world. And it just had this sort of like, I was reminded that the world wants you to be at a buffet where you eat a half a bite of everything as fast as you can. And I apologize for the long rant, but I think for me that finally captured, why am I resistant to Visions when I actually sit down and watch them? I like them every time. And I think it's because there's something in my soul that is just rejecting short form storytelling, because I just want to sit down to a planned 8-course meal and have that be the only thing I eat today. And then I want to digest it for a day. And that's just not the nature of short form storytelling.
You're describing the early AI versions of Will Smith eating spaghetti. That's what it just, and it just doesn't look good, and it's all, yeah. I feel you. I feel you on that.
Yeah.
I feel you
So
on that. Yeah. Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
nice to try to slow down, take a break, and say, this is what we're doing. It's short form storytelling. Watch one, think about one, give yourself a little break, watch the other. And I really enjoyed all three of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right,
Okay.
we'll get into the actual storytelling.
Welcome to grumpy old podcasters talking about trying to watch Star Wars Visions. It's just you're describing something I do want to talk about a little bit, because I think I felt it the other way around, where there's a new Game of Thrones universe show coming in January. I'm excited for the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Duncan Egg series. And it's already been renewed for a second season, which is great, because, okay, cool, I can invest. I'm not just a fan. I've podcasted about Game of Thrones for 10 years as well, along with Star Wars. And I couldn't be less excited. Like, I just, and it's because I just like, it's another thing to just hammer on the side of my face. And that's not good. And there's so many worse things in the world to complain about, and we are plugged into the news, and that's part of it too. Where you look at the news and it's just it's Miley Cyrus on a wrecking ball, just hitting you inside the head every time. And I like Miley. It's not a shot at Miley, but yeah, I'm feeling so. This, and that said, that preamble, there's one of these episodes we're about to discuss was the first time in all 9 of these volumes that I put down my phone and forgot to pick it back up, which is hard in this. Your brain's constantly plugged in.
Yeah, no, I felt the same way. And we will get to that one. But first, let's talk about The Smugglers. This one is from the studio Trigger. Here's a quick summary. Voiceover narration introduces us to the planet of Zenerita, a sovereign planet that has come under attack from the Empire. We learn the only member of the royal family to escape capture is Prince Arlu. We then meet a young smuggler, a woman named Cheetah, who is being ripped off by a contact in a cantina. She is hired by an older woman named Glinu to smuggle herself and the disguised prince off the planet. En route to the ship, the group discovers the Empire is arresting all young men the prince's age. Unable to watch as people suffer, the prince jumps in and rescues them. When the group is almost captured by a bounty hunter, Glenu opens her prosthetic arm and pulls out a lightsaber, revealing herself as a Jedi. After several chases, the group escapes to Yavin. Glenu says the Jedi Order is gone, so she has pledged her oath to the Zenerita people. Prince Arlu asks Cheetah to help them smuggle young fighters off Zenerita to join the rebellion. She agrees, and the three blast off to adventure. All right, so big picture, Ken, after maybe looking at your phone a couple times as you watch this,
Yes.
did you like it? Struggle with it? Mixed? Where are we at?
I was mixed upon first viewing, and then second viewing, even just this morning over breakfast, a lot better. But again, when I said it's not negative to that, it's just kind of what we're describing. I think that's why I wanted to set the context. This also, I do like this episode. It made me laugh in a lot of ways, because if you were to go back a couple years and tell me about Star Wars Visions and be like, hey, a lot of Japanese animation studios are going to do Star Wars in that style, I might have envisioned this episode just growing up on the American versions of Robotech, which I always say, or Macross, but different, but just same animation style. And what I love of just the what kind of dialogue and reactions to things, which just tickles me. And this was chock full of it. So this became fun, and the character of Glenu is amazing.
Yeah,
I need more Glenu.
Yeah, the sort of anime stylized fury when the first mate Goguns is being a coward and Cheetah's losing it. Yeah, very traditional anime, I think. Yeah, I ended up really enjoying this one. It took me a minute to get into because of all that headspace that I was talking about.
Yeah.
But I think what I really ended up liking about this one is it felt different from other episodes of Visions, because this one almost felt like an alternative draft of A New Hope.
Yes.
It felt like all of the archetypes and situations of A New Hope, fed with the knowledge of the fleshed out prequel era story, and then this fun sort of like knowing that Lucas for a long time considered making Luke a woman, considering that there are other archetypes of who the kind of Han Solo figure might be. This felt like the archetypes remixed and gender bent, and
Mm-hmm.
Luke and Leia combined into Prince Arlu, of the sort of the chosen one, but also the Leia side of the character of I have a responsibility to my people, but how do I best fight for them? Uh, Cheetah came across as a younger female Han Solo, wrestling with the same sort of morality of being having been affected by the Empire, but do I just look out for myself or do I help other people? Um, Certainly, Gleenu is an Obi-Wan type figure of being the mentor who is responsible for getting the person off the planet. But what if Obi-Wan didn't die? And what if Obi-Wan
Mm-hmm.
continued doing missions? And then perhaps my favorite, what if Chewie was a Rhodian and a effing coward?
Yes.
Yeah.
Big agree on that, and without a doubt, it was New Hope remixed, and I this entire series we've said, I'm going back to the previous 2 years as well of it is Star Wars reflected back on itself by its influences and this weird kind of inception. This really paid that off and made me think. You talk about Obi-Wan, if he had stayed alive, like I actually kind of over breakfast was like, man, what would that have been like? I'm happy obviously with where it goes in A New Hope, but like that way, what if he gets to the Masasi Temple? Like, what if he's part of the fight? Like, how does and this inspired that kind of thought. It was really
Yeah.
good in that regard.
Yeah, it was like my loyalty is now simply to Leia, and I will go wherever she goes and protect her, or Luke.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that was fascinating. So, a big picture, what did you feel it was about? Did you have any instincts toward that?
Yeah, no, I think you touched on some of the stuff with the Leia side of the prince and standing up to the Empire, the face of oppression, and seeing that play out again. But to have the self-sacrifice, potential
Hmm.
self-sacrifice, just to be able to stand up, even if it might cost you everything. He could have that prince could have been smuggled off per the plan. And the others around him, no fault of their own, would have probably said, "Yeah, let's do that," especially if you're getting 10,000 credits. But I just really liked in these times, and I'm talking about these real world times,
Hmm.
the ability to stand up and to have leaders be one with their people. That's big on the ground. I had a conversation this weekend at a holiday event in Burbank with someone who actually I found someone in the wild who actually was a big Book of Boba Fett fan like me,
Mm.
and was like, "Yeah, you know what? I think that was really underrated." And we talked about the theme of leading with your feet on the ground,
Mm.
of the ground of the that you're leading, of the actual
Hmm.
place you're ruling. And I just was really taken by that. There's a lot of great stuff with the smuggler and very, like you said, Han Solo-esque. But I really like the prince's story.
Yeah, I think I really like Cheetah, and she was our kind of perspective character into this world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I thought what was really interesting about it was it felt like all of the characters were having to acknowledge the reality of changed circumstances, that they couldn't just be the people they wanted to be and do the things they wanted to do because the Empire had changed the situation too much. So then the question becomes, okay, if I'm going to adapt to circumstances, how can I still be true to my morals and not give up the fight?
Mm-hmm.
And with Arlu just wants to be the prince. He wants to be on his planet. He sees people
Mm-hmm.
in danger. He doesn't want to hide himself. He wants to go out there and fight, and wants to, rip off the mask and go, "Yes, I am the prince, and let me guide you on the field of battle, and let me stand in the pulpit and say inspiring things to you." And has to be reminded by his own people, like, "We get it. We
Mm-hmm.
know you love us and will fight for us, but dude, leave, because
Mm-hmm.
you have to adapt. This isn't the way to fight for us right now. You're just going to get yourself killed or captured. So even though your heart is in the right place, your tactics need to change." And I thought that was kind of a Glee story as well, of
Yeah.
dealing with the trauma of like, we were horribly betrayed. I failed the Jedi, but maybe the Jedi also failed the galaxy. And who are these people right next to me here on Zenerita who never betrayed me, never questioned me? I need to give a Jedi's life is one of service, and I need to give my service to someone else, so I will give it to the people of Zenerita. It was a really interesting way for it, and all this post Order 66 stories we've had of how do different Jedi handle. I can't be a Jedi in the way I was before, so how do I adapt? And this was kind of a hopeful to me picture of Glinu saying, I have to fight for people and for knowledge and defense in a different way, but I will adapt to this circumstance.
You're also describing podcasters in a modern age of having to adapt. Pivot to video. That's going to work. Hey, you can see our faces. It took us a while, but we're here.
Pivot to Zenerita is this is about pivoting. Yeah, and I think Cheetah, has the Han Solo moment of, like, oh, I've got my heart's in the right place, but it's a dog eat dog world, and I just need to be out for myself, and I need to make money to survive. And it's a nice moment when Arlu and Glino basically say, like, hey, we need your help to rescue other young people of Zenerita and have them join the rebellion. And then Cheetah has that reflection of, like, yeah, the Empire crushed my world, and I was just I was just surviving. I wasn't responding to what the Empire is doing. And so I think, she literally adapts too, of like, okay, I can still be a smuggler, but kind of like Mando, I'll be a smuggler for the good guys, not for the scum of the galaxy.
I like you highlighting the themes of change of tactics. That's fascinating. Again, especially in these times too, not just for podcasters, but for people involved.
Yep. Pivot to video with your soul. So what we talked about a little bit being similar to A New Hope. What other kind of classic Star Wars ideas or images interested you, or what felt really new and distinct?
My favorite shot in the whole thing was this Glino's kind of quick flashback to an Order 66 type of event, or the loss of her master, and the shot with the armist. And I thought that was a beautiful shot. Made me want to know a lot more about her story. She's a fascinating character. Just the design, it looks like she's about to collect rent from John Ritter, an apartment in the 70s on a sitcom. And that made her even more, like if B. Arthur's Maud character was secretly a Jedi. I loved everything about her 1970s design. But just fascinating story. Yeah, she even just the reveal, very Kenobi-like, right? In the cantina. But imagine Kenobi had pulled aside Luke and was like, shh, hey, shh. Hey, I chopped off the guy's arm, but don't tell anyone. I just loved everything about that character. Sorry.
Yeah, I think she was definitely my favorite. I think the image of a lightsaber hidden in a prosthetic arm was like, that was so cool. We've had so many variations of wounds and lightsaber reveals of where are they hidden. Just in Visions, we've had lots of limbs as lightsabers, all sorts of stuff. But it successfully made me feel like, okay, they're talking about, I wish we had a Jedi, and shots of her saying they're gone. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Glinu is a Jedi, but it made me doubt it until that blade popped out of the prosthetic. And then, connecting that back to that really haunting image of her with the lost arm and lost faith, maybe. Absolutely phenomenal. And for something that did feel like it was remixing A New Hope, not just in sort of characters and situation, but also like that youthful perspective of like, screw the Empire, we're going to take them down, we can do this, yeah. And Obi-Wan in A New Hope is this sort of like heavy sigh. It's not as easy as that, but the film generally leaves you with the like, high five, we're going to take down the Empire, let's go, let's do it. And this had that energy and vibe too. Like, when they took off at the end, it was like, great, let's do it. I thought it was really great to have that kind of contrast.
Absolutely.
I also like the jumping to hyperspace right in front of the Star Destroyer. Again, we've had lots of kind of experiments with what does hyperspace look like, but that was really cool. What were your thoughts?
I was going to highlight that moment too. Just a beautiful visual and one of those like cool concept moments too. I agree. That beautiful moment. Beautiful moment.
Yeah. And then for me, in terms of things that were kind of different, I really liked the voiceover. It felt like the scroll, but as an active voiceover.
I needed that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
needed that. Some of these Visions volumes, at no fault of their own, just kind of run into each other with me, where I kind of forget, wait, which one was that? Was that the duel or the ninth droid or the bride droid? Like I can't remember which one was which. So I needed the full. Hey man, sit down. Here's what's going on.
It was nice to have that storybook quality, and also just like
Mhm.
with this story of like a noble royal family on a well run beautiful planet and all that. The storybook felt very good.
Indeed.
um Last thing for me, I really liked that. I love the acoustic guitar music. It was a really different
That's right.
vibe and different mood for
Yeah.
something that was so remixing A New Hope. It was not remixing John Williams. It was an almost
Yeah.
Spanish sounding guitar to me. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Little space flamenco. Like it. Yeah, yeah. There's
Yeah.
some good music all throughout these 3 episodes, or at least the one at the
Yeah.
end. Yeah. Mhm.
A musical bonanza.
Yeah.
Uh, is there anything in this one that didn't work for you?
The energy, I end up coming around. Like I said, I like the dialogue. It took me back to the '80s, and I don't watch a lot of Japanese animation now. And I know it's the house style in a way, from my uneducated point of view. But at first, I kind of it didn't pull me in right away. Just all the what yeah, like it just took me back to me and my friends making fun of Rick Hunter back in the '80s. But the second viewing calmed that all down for me. And again, this pays off the Vision's promise more than any other thing. It's the hey, we're gonna take something to influence Star Wars, and then let Star Wars influence it. Like, really worked for me on that level.
Yeah, I think for me, when it was called the Smuggler, when it started with Cheetah getting robbed by the dude in the cantina, it
Yeah.
felt a little slow to get going, and then once it got going, I really liked it.
Yes. I
My
agree with
only
that.
other thing is this one had a little bit of what I think a lot of the Visions episodes have, of a little bit of pilotitis, where it felt like this was a pilot
Totally.
episode, and it took me a little while to get into it. And then by the end of it, I was all the way into it. And then
Yeah.
when they were blasting off to adventure, it was like, and maybe 5 years from now, I will see the second
Yeah.
episode
Yeah. Yeah.
of this, which is like, no, it's not the fault of this thing, but it goes back to a little
Mm.
bit more of what we were talking about up top about wanting to invest in things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And look, I'm not accusing any of these studios of doing this, but if you know that the Ninth Jedi got picked up for a series by Lucasfilm, you might be thinking, what if we get a pilot?
Yeah, yeah. The noise be the noise I would be making.
Yeah, I would too. I would
Yeah,
too.
yeah. All
Hmm.
right. Any other thoughts on the Smuggler before we move on?
No,
Smugglers.
just give me a Gleenu Black Series figure in '70s house robe.
All right. Let's put on our tie-dyed T-shirts and put on some Pink Floyd, because from the rest of this, it is
Yes.
beautiful flowing animation that your older
Hmm.
brother's friend, who smells a little like a weird plant, is going to tell you to watch this at the laser light show. Some dated references to marijuana, kids. Anyway, let's move on to The Bird of Paradise by the
I
studio
just
Polygon Pictures.
I just spent the weekend with my parents, who kind of still refer to everything as drugs with capital D. Just that. Well, we lost them to drugs. Gummies? Anyways,
Yes,
continue.
we caught him with a jazz cigarette.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, The Bird of Paradise by Polygon Pictures. Here is my attempt at a summary. An impulsive Padawan named Nakima fights a Sith on a rocky clifftop. Her master arrives and cautions her to traverse all moments with the serenity of heart. She does not listen and attacks the Sith recklessly. The Sith wounds her, blinding her, and throws her off the cliff. Nakima awakes and discovers her saber is broken. She wanders, seeing visions in the Force. She drinks from an apparently poisoned stream and fears death. She sees a vision of her droid Daruma and hears Jedi voices that might rescue her. She sees visions of the Sith taunting her to give in to her rage. She encounters a mystical toad who slaps her and encourages her to let go of her ego and flow with the current of the Force. Nakima sits under a waterfall and sees a dark version of herself fighting the Sith. Seeing her own reflection in the Sith eyes, She acknowledges her ego, her ambition, her fear of death, and successfully moves past them, finally understanding and embracing her master's teaching. She comforts the Sith, who weeps with fear. On a verdant cliffside, Akima opens her eyes and sees a golden sun on the horizon of a beautiful land. All right. So it has a pretty clear beginning, middle, and end narrative structure, and a pretty clearly stated realizations and epiphanies from our main character. But it is also, I think, illustrated in such a beautiful and trippy way. What was your big picture reaction? You like it? Struggle with it? How'd you go?
No, I really like this one. It really like this one. This was so different from anything that had come before it. And again, I don't mean that that's not insulting or meant to be insulting to any of the great projects, 7 episodes before this. They all kind of roll into one for me, and that's just a me thing. And this one, like, I immediately was drawn in. I think the style, the look, whatever it is. I don't know if I want a full series to look like that. I don't know, but I couldn't stop being mesmerized by what I was seeing. And then you take what is kind of like reminded me of Yoda and his Clone Wars, the Lost Episodes arc against himself. It sounded, this had that kind of vibe. Also, I've not been on a peyote trip, but it seems like it. Seems like this might be. And therefore, I was just immediately pulled in by it. And I think it's beautiful. And upon a second viewing, the big reveal about the dark version of herself and the whole thing of like, oh, you're my immaturity, my impulsiveness, ego, and my fear of death. I really love that moment because you could maybe pick that out, maybe you could see it coming, but it was a stark reminder of what we're all wrestling with, and it took the lessons of the Jedi and made it into a true piece of moving art, like art that would hang in a museum for a French heist team to take. But it has that kind of like true art off a wall explaining the way of the Jedi.
Yeah. This is definitely one that I will rewatch just as a like bite-sized piece of Star Wars. This is one that felt like it escaped for me a little bit of the trap of the pilotitis of it felt like this is a complete thing by itself. It's a short film and a complete story by itself. The visuals were just like fantastic and flowing and beautiful and haunting and scary. And it really made me feel what Nakima was going through. And I also thought it totally reminded me too, like, let's make Yoda's, trip to the wellspring of the Force and fighting his shadow self. Let's make that even wilder. And I think part of what I liked about it is this mix of clarity and ambiguity. In some ways, it was a very traditional philosophical battle of light and dark, of Jedi versus Sith spirituality, of, what is the path and what are the downfalls and what is the dark side really, what are the illusions of power it'll give you, but where does that power really come from? What do some of these kind of bumper sticker things that Jedi masters say to the Padawans, what do they really mean, and what do you need to go through to learn them? All that stuff is like very like, that's kind of rock solid 3-act structure about rejecting the dark side and choosing the light. But it's told in this incredibly, to me, dreamlike fashion where the viewer, I think, is invited to interpret for themselves what is and isn't real. The morals, the choices, the spirituality is concrete. But when is she dreaming? When is she blinded but seeing things through the Force? When are we simply seeing what she feels? How far does she actually go? Just the sort of narrative structure of like, well, and what happened to her master? Or was the beginning of this even real? Right. Is all of this a meditation? I only watched it once, and I'm sure if I watched it again, I'd probably come out with more concrete interpretations. But it felt like an invitation to be like, doesn't matter if what she's seeing is real this time. It's what she's coming to spiritually that matters.
Yeah, and that was the big reveal I talked about a second ago, but also this idea that when she has that kind of realization that like I've taken in all the words, I've never believed them, right? And that's so this is a true reflection. This is a true, just introspective episode that can connect to a lot of us in our lives in different kind of places, and even all the revelations I've had about myself, or my path, or my journey, or the changes I need to make, or the changes I've had. I have made like, just, we all have those moments where you're like, oh, but now it's sinking in. Now I actually get it, and a true release of self, a true release of ego. There's something really spiritually cleansing about this episode that I connected with, and I'll reflect on it even more.
Yeah, and a release of fear of death. Well, I don't want to die, and I'm going to try not to. But if I do, it's she says, I'll become one with the Force. If there's a piece to it, of make every decision based on that fear. I can't live my life entirely in the shadow of death. I think for me, and getting into what it was really like about part of what I really liked about it is it felt like a metaphor for the dark side as youth, because that was some of the fresh part of the actual storytelling of the. We've seen plenty of Padawans who don't listen to the master go, yeah, but this was so like, okay, whatever, yes. Like, to the point of like being funny, of like, sit down. Ugh, I sat down. What? But then also that this vision of the terrifying Sith felt like when a 16-year-old makes fun of you, and it's eviscerating. Right? Of like, you old, slow idiot, your time has passed, you don't know anything. Just the way that the Sith is represented as just a terrifying youth. But everything that Nakima goes through spiritually, that she's rejecting impatience, her impatience to achieve, needing your life to work out the way you predetermined. There's that one moment she talks about, like, my life was looking so good, but then it wasn't, and I'm so impatient that it's not going that way. What you're talking about, the idea of learning lessons versus internalizing them. Nakima and the Sith both have all sorts of bravado, but we learn that it's born out of fear, not confidence or experience. So everything that we kind of see our hero start to reject is like the standard follies of youth. And I thought that was really interesting to say, like, okay, even if you're like, if you in real life are middle-aged, or you're, watching a show like Kenobi where he's needing to refine himself, it's really interesting to me to talk about the dark side as the follies of youth, the follies of immaturity, particularly in a time like right now where, social media has kind of coined the idea that a lot of our problems are that everyone in power is 12 years old. And I really agree with that they're operating from a place of petulance and fear of not being relevant or seen as cool. And the ultimate thing you could do to gain power is to roast someone online, and to see like how much darkness can come from the insecurities and the folly of youth. I thought was just like phenomenally different.
I love that. First of all, the Sith, Amon, you're describing what it's like to play Fortnite against 15-year-olds. I don't have the sound on. I can't hear them, but I imagine they're laughing just like she is. And it was a great, like, there's always those one or two things in every episode of Star Wars Visions where I'm like, oh, I'd like to see that in canon. And I hate to always say that to suggest that it needs to be drafted up to the big leagues, but I don't want him to take that. But it's kind of where I think. And this, I'd take absolutely more of this character, this Sith Amon character. Laughing and giggling like a horror villain. Just call her the giggler. It's terrifying. But I love what you're saying about you. This is an episode of growing up, right? This is an episode of maturity. All the opposite things that the dark Nakime. That's you're absolutely talking about growing up, and that's the Star Wars story in a lot of ways. We do like our Star Wars stories with the older generations. Like you said, shout out to Kenobi being depressed in a cave. Need more of that. But that's and then we all still have value or have values to pull from this and learn from. So I really like that looking at it as youth, as growing up.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I feel like this is so centered on that, but it also made me think of poor Ben Solo and all the bad choices he makes as Kylo Ren, and how there are
Mm-hmm.
moments where he comes across as very petulant and childlike,
Mm.
in Anakin as well, of not being able to let go of those anxieties of youth and not understand them for what they are and move past them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I also just the the whole thing about her eyes being wounded is something that we have seen before. Obviously, we've seen, Kanan function with damaged eyes. It's one of their first introductions to the Force when Obi-Wan tells Luke, your
Mm-hmm.
eyes can deceive you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I loved how much it this felt like a tribute to the idea of your eyes can deceive you. Of like,
Mm.
literally, you have to look at the world in a different way. You have to reach out with the Force, and you have to uh, see everything around you in a different way, feel everything around you in a different way. How did you feel about just like sort of that representation of wounded eyes and what she was seeing, that was metaphorical versus real?
Timeless lesson. Definitely. I love that you highlighted that. Really, the first lesson of that is for us, our generation, is Luke with a bulky helmet, the blast shield down. I can't see anything. And it's such a spiritual lesson, right?
Hmm.
It's absolutely such a spiritual lesson, and I think there's so much spirit in Star Wars. I think Luke is taking from so many things, and I mean that by influenced by so many things.
Hmm.
But just looking at religions and beliefs and processes across many cultures and much of history, and boiling it down to the Force and boiling it down, I'm always moved by these kind of simple lessons. This has kind of been where I've been for the last year of like, I keep saying I can't see where I'm going or what my path is, but every time I close myself and am quiet and calm and just present, 2 feet on the ground, answer solutions and sometimes just straight up help emerges. Our eyes are too wide open sometimes. Not
Hmm.
to take this episode, but this is what the episode where I had absolutely a ton of reflection of my own life following the second viewing of this episode. Once I really plugged into what they were doing here, and I think it's important to you know Star Wars addressing this stuff and to use it in such a visceral manner. Eyes sliced. Fortunately, I don't have that, but I need to learn to see again. And this character learns the lessons that I need in my own life.
Yeah. Well, I also like that it was just like this true fear of death, of like, can I trust
Mm-hmm.
anything? I need water to
Mm-hmm.
live, but I think I've been poisoned, but have I? Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that that was a really, really powerful to keep kind of the stakes up. I think, honestly, I think if it had been more sort of like direct and representational rather than a little dreamlike, I
Yeah.
think I would have been like, okay, well, is she going to live? Is she going to die? Is the master going to win the fight or not? And I loved how all that was sort of like, it doesn't matter. We're going on a journey with this character's growth.
Yeah, I think that with her saying that, I heard the words, I never believed the words, type of thing. Paraphrasing, of course. Like I think you're right. If this had just been, if it had been less surreal, I think
Hmm.
we've been analyzing the story in a different way. But by magic frogs and poison water and statues talking, but like you're able to transport yourself outside of not just the story, but your own kind of hangups. And I think that's
Hmm.
what was really valuable to this piece.
Hmm. Yeah. It was a little bit of a, yeah, wherever you go, there you are kind of
Yeah, yeah,
journey
yeah, yeah.
journey
Yeah,
for her. So,
mystical.
what classic Star Wars ideas or images interested you, or what felt new and distinct?
I mean, both are the answer to both those questions is mystical frog, mystical
Hmm.
neon
George
shorts
Takei.
wearing frog. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
frog,
George.
yeah.
Okay. Fantastic, fantastic. Loved all that. Loved all that. And again, the Sith design too. Just actually, and Nakibe's design too. This was fantastic use of Japanese culture and history and heritage wrapped up in a Star Wars kind of bundle. Love the
Hmm.
look of all these characters.
Yeah, no, I thought it was fantastic. The moment where the Sith,
Mm-hmm.
I missed her name, Amin.
Amen, yeah, Aman.
Okay, Amin, right at the top when she was, taunting, and I think that's a perfect way to say it, like you're playing Fortnite with a 16-year-old. But there's a moment where she slaps her lightsabers together and like this little
Yeah,
taunt of like, shh, like that. I love it when there's something that like I don't think I've ever seen that in
right.
canon Star Wars of taunting by slapping your two. We've seen
Yeah,
plenty of people wield two sabers, but slapping them together, little
yeah.
slap sabers, are like, oh my god, that was so cool. Um,
Uh, Great design. I'm doing some real time research so that people can save their comment fingers for something else. Based on the character is based on a Japanese mythology goddess known as Amanogasume, which is kind
okay.
of a mischievous demon, and
Mm.
that kind of all makes sense when you look at the character. Wonderful design. Great character.
Yeah, yeah. I have no doubt that there's a lot more that will get out of this in repeat viewings. I loved the title cards that invited you to think about each chapter in a specific way.
Yeah.
And yeah, um,
Yes. There's some music. I'm trying to think what it made me think of. It's almost like I don't know, an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where it's like a bar bet that's going to doom day 3.
yeah.
It was
Day of
great.
insolence, day of desire, day of indignation, day of idleness, a prayer for life. Yeah, so I think that also helped me feel like these are the steps that okay, this
Hmm.
Padawan has been stripped of
Hmm.
their cockiness, stripped of their blade, stripped of their sight, stripped of the feeling that they're always surrounded by Jedi. There's that nice moment where she hears the Jedi and think they're coming to rescue her, and so like this
Mm-hmm.
idea of like, okay, if you're stripped of all of that and it is just you and your soul, who are
Yeah.
you really without all of this? And yeah,
Mm.
the chapter titles give it this nice feeling of like the steps of acceptance kind of thing.
Yeah, the stages of grief,
Yeah.
which is best exemplified by, I think it was a Little Caesars pizza in the 90s, if anyone remembers that one. It's fantastic. But yes, I like it. Well, and I'm joking slightly, but like you could literally go back and just like, all right, here's 5 steps of what I need to do to solve my problems this week. Watch this
Yeah.
episode with that.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to watch it. I also the tie-dyed hippie toad is like
Amazing.
a figure that we've seen in Star Wars is sort of like wise.
Mm-hmm.
But the slap surprised me, and the slap also made me go like, okay, we're trusting what the toad is saying, but do we want to trust things that slap us?
The toad was an alien with glowing purple and blue skin. Reading on Wikipedia. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was fascinating,
Good slap.
and yeah, uh, good wisdom, and also like it felt a little bit like a Yoda in tough love mode.
Yeah, no, very, very Yoda coded to me. Love that. Yeah, may life send you a frog or toad to slap you this week is the lesson or the hope.
Yes, yes. Not sure about the actual literal slapping, but it was a really fun surprise. uh, Again, yeah, whether or not it's real is a fun thing to ponder. Was there anything in this one that didn't work for you?
No, honestly, no, and I'd love to see more of that droid. Her Kime's master was fascinating. No, I really, really, really mean I loved all these. All these are beautiful. There's so much work that goes into these. This one just immediately stood out. Immediately stood out, and that's there's always one or two in each round of visions that I'm pulled towards, and usually it's the lighter ones. Usually, I love the Jedi band one, the band episode, and volume 1. That was a lot of people's least favorite, but we loved it here, and a lot of the second one, that episode that was with the race day with the mother-daughter one, like love that one. And so I think some of these get a little too stoic or somber for my taste, which is weird because I love sad bastard music. But this one was a little different. It just felt different. It looked different. It was mystical. It just kept pulling me in. And then just when you thought you figured out, a magic toad shows up. Like it just had a constant parade of surprises for me.
Yeah, and I think it was, it is very deep. It is very spiritual. I have no doubt there's all sorts of things that I don't yet understand about it. Other references and connections and
Mm-hmm.
nuances. But it was also, at least in the English dub, it was funny. Her impatience, the
Mm-hmm.
contrast between the like, here's the master giving the wisdom, like yeah, 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 and like even
Mm-hmm.
when the toad is like, flow with the current, like I'm sitting down in the waterfall, all right,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
that contrast was just well done and funny, and it gave it, I think, a lot of life.
A lot of life. Yes, a lot of life. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no qualms for me. This was one of my favorites. All
Same.
right, are you ready for even more trippy?
All in all, it's just another brick in the wall.
It's another trooper version
Mm.
of me. All right, Black by Studio David Production. Here, this one was really fun to attempt to write a summary for. Here we go.
Please do.
I could probably stop at the first sentence. An Imperial stormtrooper has a very bad day while jazz plays in a surreal explosion of attempted survival and fractured memory. It's like, man,
End of story.
end of story. Here is how I interpreted the narrative. A stormtrooper aboard the Death Star appears to be grievously wounded, his helmet fractured, exposing one eye and his left arm missing. He races through the station, fighting for life. There appears to be green and red-hued versions of the trooper fighting for dominance and escape. The trooper appears to fly in a TIE fighter and ride a speeder bike. He has visions of possibly peaceful childhood times and lounging with a loved one who has the same tattoo as him. At one point, he falls into a chasm and briefly sees himself as a Jedi figure that possibly bears a resemblance to Mace Windu. Eventually, the Death Star appears to explode. Both the red and the green trooper find themselves crashed on a snowy planet, the remnants of the Death Star in the distance, as more X-Wings rain fire down on them. The green and red versions of the trooper reach for one another's hands and finally clasp. The trooper opens his eye wide, with red on one side of his head, green on the other. Fini. The
Mm-hmm.
end. So, big picture. How did you feel about this one, Ken?
So I really loved it. So I heard, I'm sure you did as well. I heard rumblings on social media, even our Discord, about this last one being real trippy, and kind of hearing what it was, like a stormtrooper dying has all these things play out in his head. Like so, I kind of knew, and then it even exceeded my expectations for that. And this is one of the things, like I don't know how many times I'm going to revisit this one. I watched it twice. That might be the only trip I need to take with this one. But this is what I've read. Like, and I'm not saying this about the content, but just the times we are in. This was the only one that I didn't reach for my phone. It's the only one that I didn't. All right, I'll get that thumbnail up while I watch this because I got to get that link live for tomorrow's show, which was a little bit of the last one. Like I had to watch Bird of Paradise twice because the first time I started hyper focusing on a link I was making live for YouTube, and this one I was just like, whoa, what is this? Your summary is excellent because it's all there, it's all present, but you putting that together is impressive because it's a journey, but it made me, so I really like it, and it just made me feel as though, I don't know, like it was like telling a story of a soldier in World War One or something. It dealt with just the horrors of war and the cost on our psyche and all those kind of things, and it just it was terrifying as well as mesmerizing.
Mm-hmm. This one it was a revelation. This one was fantastic. I had seen the just the thumbnail and the description of it, which I don't remember exactly what the description is. I think so. I knew I was in for something kind of special. On the cusp of defeat, a psychedelic battle plays out in the haunted psyche
Mm-hmm.
of, and it cuts off there. So I got it. In the
Yeah,
thumbnail, it's just a bunch of eyes. I was like, great,
yeah.
surreal, psychedelic, fantastic, fun. Uh, I wasn't prepared for just like how beautiful it was. Beauty in the service of pain and
Mm-hmm.
trauma. And I think the Bird of Paradise and Black, I'm glad that they put them right next to each other because they both have a level of
Mm-hmm.
the characters processing trauma and the visuals around it being surreal. I think the Bird of Paradise becomes more literal, at least in its message.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to the point of the character literally saying out loud what they learned. But it's almost like I feel like the Bird of Paradise is where I know I need to get to in the things that
Mm.
are currently bothering me.
Mm.
And Black feels a little bit just like, hey, accept that you're in a place of trauma.
Mm.
Don't deny it. Process it. Fight through it.
Mm.
But Black felt to me like sometimes when you listen to a depressed album because you are depressed and you can't deny it and you need to let yourself feel it
Yeah.
before you can find your way through
Mm.
and close your eyes and listen to the wisdom of the master. Before that,
Mm.
you need to just let yourself feel it, because if you don't let yourself feel it, you're just stuffing it in a box and you're not actually
Right.
moving forward from it. You're just,
Yeah.
you're stuffing it down and going, it'll all be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to the wisdom of my master, don't worry about it. But Black
Mm.
feels like, did you have a breakup? Put on the most devastating breakup album that you can find and feel it with all your heart.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
that was part of the power of it to me. In terms of the yeah, I mean, I just think it's what art should do sometimes. Of like, it's fun to dissect what may or may not be literally happening, or what
Mm-hmm.
may or may not have literally happened to this person.
Mm.
But that's fun. But what matters is this is pictures and sound created in a gorgeous way to make you feel what is happening.
Mm.
Is a big fan of David Lynch. This is what he talks about a lot, of like, there are signposts in my films and there's ambiguity. They're always open for different people to interpret what is literally happening in this narrative.
Mm.
But there's also ambiguity, and there's also a surrealness, because what is most important is what what does it what does the character feel like? What does this moment feel like? Is this a literal moment of what it feels like to be shot? Is it a literal depiction of being shot, or is this what it would feel like in your soul to
Mm.
be shot?
Mm.
And I love how much this is like, if you were a stormtrooper who felt like you were a part of the machine of the Empire, and
Mm-hmm.
you had some pride in that, but you also had another part of your life that was soft and gentle and full of love and power, and now you're suddenly just like a piece of meat hurtling through debris in space. What would that feel like?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is this is what
Mm-hmm.
it would feel like to me. I think it's just so powerful.
Yeah, I love that you brought in the angle that this is a stormtrooper, and so this is not necessarily just a wistful look back on life's events before you are sucked out into the darkness and bleakness of space. This seems have a little bit of regret to me.
Oh yeah.
Again, big open to interpretation, right? But this had like you said it right there. You're part of the imperial machinery, and for him to go to a beach with a loved one, a partner, a spouse, whatever it may be, and just you were touched by that beauty, and it's very, I don't know, it's a mid 2000s trippy rom com movie where you have the image of two lovers on a beach having a great time. It struck that chord, but it was so haunting compared to everything else, and just so to have that moment of peace. Well, you realize you're being trampled by something maybe your own making, whether or not he had a choice to join up. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That was, and even just the title, black, just empty, void of color, of life, everything, the actual interpretation of the color. That's what I thought was so haunting and beautiful and mesmerizing. I couldn't turn away. So even, you're just, first of all, there's this like, what are you all seeing type of thing. But once it got to that point where he's flashing back, that's when I was pulled in, hooked.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the animation style that's dancing between the sort of the crude and sophisticated. I think that's part of what gives it just great artistry, but also gives it that feeling of like, what is he like feeling, and what does it crystallize into an image that he can process? They going from like the pen and ink scratches to watercolor to charcoal. It's just beautiful. The choice of jazz to me is such a great
Yes.
interesting companion because jazz is so requires like such precision in and improvisation,
Uh-huh.
and it feels both controlled and wild, and a great contrast where it sounds kind of beautiful and fun, and what's on screen is not beautiful and fun.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and big picture in terms of like the Star Wars canon of it, it feels like such a serious response to the old kind of joke of like, there were janitors on the Death Star, and like,
Mm.
the stormtroopers were people too, and I still run into people who are like, I got a hot take of Star Wars for you, like, what's that? Like, Empire were the good guys, and Luke was a
Mm.
terrorist who blew up. Like, yeah, no,
Mm.
I get it, I
Get
get
it.
it.
I get
And this feels like a serious response to that of like,
it.
yes, there are individuals who are on the Death Star, and what choices did they make, and
Mhm.
how did they feel about where they ended up?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels like a serious examination of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I watched it twice, and I can't wait to watch it again.
Sure.
Um, do you have big picture thoughts about what it's about?
Yeah, kind of what I was talking about of just I think regret. I think of your choices or what you're a part of it, and I'm not just talking about in terms of joining a fascist military organization ruling the galaxy. I'm just talking about our own journeys, and how much of it is not just self-inflicted, but like at the end, this is a deathbed rewind, and at the end, what was valuable? What should you have pursued? What did you let yourself become a part of? Was it all worth it? These are some of the big questions that this was asking for me, and that's kind of where I went with the big picture again.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I really agree with you. I think one of the things that I didn't fully I was so caught up in it, and the surprises of it, and the beauty of it, and the power of it, and wondering how and where it would end, um, that I didn't fully absorb the red trooper and the green trooper, that there was a red coated version of him and a green coated version of him until I
Mm,
got to the credits, and there's, credits for, grunts and groans and screams of pain by two different actors to play red
mm,
version and green version. Um, and watch it again with that in mind, and really watching how the red and the green were coded. And to me, it felt like big picture. Yes, this absolutely feels like a stormtrooper who is experiencing uh, the horror and pain of the Death Star falling apart. And that there's a level of literalness to it, but that what is going on with him is in these moments of crisis and pain and wondering whether he will survive and whether he wants to survive is a need to find balance to survive. There's so
mm,
much in this that is about duality. Even his injuries, the Empire is a machine, and stormtroopers are symmetrical skull images,
mm,
and his skull is broken, and half of his humanity is hanging out, and the
mm,
skull is dangling. He's lost one arm, so he's the image of his wounds are this sort of like ripping apart of this sort of mechanical symmetry of the Empire.
mm,
And then you have a red version and a green version, and they're pretty traditionally coded. If you go through and really watch, green feels desperate to survive. Green is generally running forward, and red keeps kind of grabbing at him in
mm,
trying to either uh, uh, jump on and be taken for the ride with green, or to take green's ride away.
mm,
Toward the end, when they appear to have crashed on the snowy planet,
mm,
um, they're reaching for each other's hands like they really need one another to survive. But when Green's hand is grabbed, we hear just this briefest sound of like uh, uh, wonderful laughter, warm laughter.
mhm, mhm,
And we grab Red, we hear this kind of bestial, blah, blah. And the more I watched it, it seemed to me like the Green was a little bit of the like, well, what is life actually? I want to survive, and what is actually worthwhile in life. It's these memories of beaches and bells and the sounds of laughter, and feeling
mm,
whole, and uh, um, feeling not a machine but of flesh. The beach, he's in shorts, and it's and his lady friend
mhm,
is, she's almost merging, staring at him around flowing plants and trees, and it's very organic and tactile and flesh based, and red keeps kind of growing into like a, a bestial figure, and it almost feels to
Mm,
me like red is the like red's the macho dude who
mm,
thought like I'm a big man and I'm gonna sign up to the
mm,
empire and I'm gonna crush the bad guys, and the green guy's like bells and water and connection. And the green guy is the one who's like, oh man, I'm trying to survive, and red is
yeah.
just there still screaming and still trying to survive. And then
Mm,
ultimately, we do have this really nice clear image at the end of they clasp hands, and his eyes open in this moment of sort of like awakening. He is no longer either green or red hued, but
mm,
he is now his own natural colors, but the backgrounds behind him are red and green. And it's
mhm,
sort of, to me, suggested that he has fought to survive. He has come together. Maybe this is his moment of death, and maybe there's clarity in death, or
mm,
maybe he has sort of managed to pull these versions of himself uh, together,
together.
and not let
Mm.
one override the other, or not let red the red
Mm.
entirely destroy the green.
Don't let the red outgrunt the green.
Yeah.
Yes. Nah, true balance. No, excellent breakdown and interpretation of that. True balance. Yeah. And you're pitching something that I'm like, man, I hope green survived.
I know, right?
Hope he's
Yeah.
okay.
I want green to be like, well, red's always going to be a part of me. That's fine, but I don't need
Yep.
to make choices based on red.
Yeah. 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 We
Because
all we all
look
need
at
a
where
little
red's
red.
choices lead me.
Yeah. We all need a
Yeah,
little red, but we need to lead with green. Yeah. 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 And hopefully he'll
yeah,
get back to that beach.
yeah. And so maybe to me, I love that. And I don't know, maybe there's been quotes from the creators that said, no, he's dead. To me, it doesn't matter,
Hmm.
because to me there is a suggestion of, can he make peace with himself either to go on living or before he dies. And the ending is abrupt, and as shocking as it is, feels a little like it's the clasp of hands
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
eye opening. Feels like I have managed to combine myself.
Hmm.
Um, there's also
Hmm.
just like there I really appreciated on the second viewing a feeling that he is, and you said this too, realizing what it is to be a stormtrooper.
Hmm.
There's that sense of like, oh, I'm suddenly wounded, and this impenetrable battle station has fallen down on me, and I'm lost an arm, and
Yeah.
uh, my helmet's shattered, and I'm exposed. There's that sort of wounding, but then there's lots of imagery. There's this little scene where there's a bunch of stormtroopers, and they pop in like they're coming out of hyperspace. They go boom, 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 and
Mm.
then they all take off again, like they're jumping back into hyperspace, like boom. And then we have these images where there, he's kind of getting into a TIE fighter. He's kind of morphing into riding a speeder bike,
Hmm.
but it almost feels to me, watching it the second time, that it is an image of stormtroopers as a piece of machinery, of like,
Yeah.
oh, the empire didn't want your humanity. Maybe you signed up because you thought you were that beautiful woman on the beach that you loved. You were defending her from
Mm.
the separatists, from the rebels, whatever. But that's not what this is or ever has been. You are a piece of machinery. You are as disposable as a TIE fighter, a speeder bike, a random piece of debris of the Death Star. I thought that was a really interesting image in a thoughtful adult version of,
Mm.
there were stormtroopers on the Death Star, like, and how many of them went, whoops, I made a terrible mistake as they died? How many of them saw the truth of their folly,
Yeah. Yeah. They were just contractors up there doing work, man. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah. How did you feel about, like, I know you over the years, I know you've had a complicated relationship with it, but it has been a big part of your fandom to be a fan of the Empire and their toys and the TIE
Hmm.
fighters. You love the speeder bike. I thought of you
Hmm.
when it became a
Hmm.
speeder bike. I was like, oh, Ken's gonna like this. This is this
Hmm.
beautiful portrait of like they look really cool, but they feel like, can I ride these things to hope? Can I ride these things to salvation, or are they just another trap? How did you feel about the imagery of the machinery?
I would have been scared if you showed me this when I was 10. I would not have understood a thing, just like I was
Yeah.
afraid of HR Puff and stuff. But Yeah, I like what you're saying and what you're getting at here. Where yeah, it is the toys that were cooler, but that is a pursuit of folly. That is a pursuit of ego. That is a pursuit of power. And this is why I don't hold anyone. You know, I have my imperial hat. It's up there too. Every once in a while, I wear it around the house. Okay. But this is why I do think it was something I don't wear out in the public anymore. I don't wear a lot of Darth Vader join us. We have cookie shirts anymore because I think there's too much at stake, and I think a lot of us took the lesson of the toys are cooler and not analyzing it beyond that. This would have again absolutely freaked me out. But I think there's great value in what you're saying. So I didn't have an immediate a visceral reaction to he is the speeder bike, but I think when you break it down, the lessons are all there.
The whole thing is just so propulsive of a figure trying to escape and live, and that's the relationship between the red and the green. They're pushing each other like there's only room for one on the sort of the lifeboat, and then that he keeps joining with these images of forward fast movement, and they don't quite get him where he needs to go. The Death Star still explodes, and he still ends up in the shattered remains of it. I don't know. It was really cool for me to see them. The machinery, the Empire is great images of uniform fascism. They're also cool, and they make cool noises, and they've been a part of my life for almost as long as I can remember. It was really fun to see them in a different light, and to see a stormtrooper almost like, yep, I might as well be a machine. It's really cool.
Yeah. No, it's funny. You're making me think back to my youth and what we were raised on. And we were raised on a lot of toy commercials. But the lessons of this, like I would never have been thinking this deep at 10. I was a simple kid. I'm a simple man. But like there's a character in Robotech that shows up who's a pacifist. And his whole thing is like, we shouldn't be fighting. He's also kind of a prick, Lynn Kyle. But so I remember just kind of being upset at that character, both in comic and show form, of like, why would you want to stop all these cool toys from fighting? And not highlight, I'm not accusing the producers of vilifying this character because he had some traits that were possessive of women and everything like that too. But like, I just remember thinking like, oh man, why being all mad? They fly the cool ships around and shoot people. Like let them do their thing, you know. And it's interesting to have you bring the question up about the machine and the toys and everything. Maybe I could have used being scared by this when I was talking.
No, I mean I was the same way. I
right?
wanted the world to be simpler than it is, you know.
Right.
And I
yeah.
want the good guys to be the good guys and the bad guys to be the bad guys. And what I like about Star Wars is I think it like the Bird of Paradise, it works through not just they've got a blue blade, so they're good, so they should kill the people with red blades.
Right.
That's almost like where the character in Bird of Paradise starts of like, I need to be a great Jedi, so I'm going to kill this Sith. And then analyzes what does it mean to be the bad guy? What does it mean to be the good guy? And how is that going to inform your choices? And I think, that's the great gift of Star Wars, and sometimes the curse with, poor George Lucas just being like, they always like the bad guys.
You all missed the point of Vader. Yeah.
Yep. You all missed the point of Vader. So let me, you all missed the point of Boba Fett. So not even missed it, but just like you thought, yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So talk a little bit about classic Star Wars ideas or images. We kind of already a little bit with that. But within that, I want to talk about what I think is one of the weirdest parts of this is there is this flash towards a figure that to me looks Mace Windu-esque. And I know other people might disagree with that. Did you see that? And what did you feel about that?
I honestly, I'm trying to recall that. I did not. I've watched this twice.
Okay.
Glued. I don't remember that. So take it away. Was it Mace?
Well, I think to me, we were watching this trooper roll through all this iconography of Star Wars, of the Death Star, of stormtroopers, TIE fighters, speeder bikes. X-Wings are kind of like these merciless angels of death from his perspective. They're like just zipping around jazzy, blowing up everything, everywhere, all the time. So there's playing with all this iconography, and then there's a moment where he gets knocked somewhere and he's spinning, and then as he rotates, you see kind of like a flash of Jedi robes, and we see his big bulging eye, but then we see the face of this Jedi that
Mm.
looks like Mace Windu, and as we zoom in, his eye is a little purple, and in a
Mm.
piece of art that's so coated of the green
Yeah.
and the red and a little bit of a purple eye. Um, so to me, I felt like it was almost like this sort of spiritual thing where this guy is going through pain and death and questioning his allegiances, and almost through like space and time he has a flash of somebody else who is in pain,
Mm.
questioning their choices, falling from a great distance with a lost limb. Like there's
Mm.
this, like, everything
Mm.
else is sort of like almost the iconography of the 80s of
Mm-hmm.
the toy collection that you would probably have in 84. And then there's this image that's to me, I have no idea if it was intended to be Mace Windu, but that's what I saw and felt, and then that triggers the
Mm.
why. It's like
Mm-hmm.
he's not seeing
Mm-hmm.
Mace Windu walk into the Senate office; he's seeing Mace Windu turning and falling.
Falling.
And to me, it felt like this interesting moment of when you are in pain and maybe facing the end, the propaganda probably melts away,
Yeah. Yeah.
and this idea of connecting with someone else who experienced what you did from a very different, what you're experiencing from a very different perspective was really intriguing to me.
Yeah. No. Now I know what my lunchtime viewing will be. Go back and try to find that.
If you, if the creator, put out a statement, is like, yep, this trooper, while
Mm-hmm.
falling to their possible death, had a vision of Mace Windu, how
Hmm.
would you feel about that? What would you make of it?
I'd say he's a fan of the prequels. Number one, two. Yeah, no, it definitely connects, and what you're saying of everything is kind of stripped away, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the ideals you fought for, all the beliefs. I don't know, no atheists in the foxhole, as they would say on a bumper sticker somewhere. In World War One. Yeah, I'd be intrigued by that
Yeah,
again.
and maybe it's an image of Order 66 of like
Mm,
the propaganda falls away of this is not what I was told it was. This is, I'm feeling through space and time this man who was murdered, who
mm,
didn't go and
yeah.
he tried to stop Palpatine and was maybe willing to kill him and all that. But yeah,
Mm, mm.
I thought that was fascinating. How did you feel about the X-wings in this? Did you feel empathy for the trooper? Did you like want the X-wings to stop?
No, no, no. No. I mean, I think I've felt empathy for all involved. This, like I said, I had a lot of visions of World War One, and just by total coincidence, a clip that I've seen before had popped up in one of my feeds of it's like footage of a World War One vet. I forget which side, what army, doesn't matter. And that's the point; it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like shown a uniform or something, and you see, and it's tragic. It's footage from like 1920, 1921, like early film or whatever, and it's just tragic what he goes through, and just the PTSD that's present. So I took the soul serious reflection of that. So I both feel sorry for him, but also like chose poorly, I guess. But you could easily do one of these on on a rebel, right? With TIE
Mm-hmm.
fighters raining down on them, and strip away what that is. Though I would say that's the fight to get behind.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you in that moment? Yeah. You could truly do a companion piece.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, last thing for me in terms of like remixing Star Wars, the the fact that he, whether it's a vision or literal, appears to end up on a snow planet and sees the sort of shattered Death Star remnants in the background was this really weird sort of dreamlike. It's kind of like
Mm,
Kef Beer from Rise of Skywalker, where you're on this sort
right.
of beautiful organic place, and then the carnage of the past is in the distance. Um, but Snow Planet is so Hoth coated
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that it felt like this kind of dreamy remix of like, well, I'm at a place that's not exactly like warm and welcoming, but I'm back on solid ground. I'm back on something organic, and this,
Mm.
uh, uh, horrible remnant of machinery is behind me. And am I going to get up and keep going or not?
Sure, it was Hoth. It wasn't Ilum. Was this finally Ilum? Were
I
we
think it
on
was
Ilum?
Ilum. Oh,
Yeah, it was Ilum.
that's it ties it all together.
That's
Yes.
something.
Yes. Maybe it was getting hit by some of the
Yeah.
kyber crystals at the
Yeah.
heart of the Death Star and having
Ilum.
force visions. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
it should just
Yeah.
begin with a piece of kyber crystal just lodging in
Mm-hmm.
his brain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anything that didn't work for you on this one?
No, this is just wild and inventive. And I was reading some the StarWars.com stuff on the director and how they put it together, and it just is So there's no negative at all. This was outside the bounds of normal viewing, because you're just like, what is this, in the most wonderful of ways.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single in all 3 seasons episode of Visions where I was like, I don't like that. I think that's bad. But I think
Mm-hmm.
some are like, let's remix this and make our own new show,
Mm-hmm.
and they're little pilots. Some are cute and fun and had nice warm messages. These last 2 were really like, yeah, let's take all those ideas, let's take that iconography, and let's make something truly, truly different. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, this is. I was kind of laughing too, because, like, as I've said before in the show, like in the early 2000s, 3 of my roommates at various times were all Cal Arts graduates, the big school up there, home of Tim Burton and Pee Wee Herman, and many others. But this was the stuff that they would make, and I would see it. But then they all went on to just, the only place to go forward to get a career is to work on just regular animation. No slight, but like one of my friends would do this stuff, and then he became the story editor on SpongeBob for decades. And I'm not saying the other stuff, and I'm not saying SpongeBob is bad, by the way, either. I'm just saying, like, it just I was like, this is true, like, animation art, and there's a great StarWars.com article you can go seek out. But the director was talking about that the short had 9 scenes with 9 animators. One animator for each scene. The animators were a mix of Japanese and foreign animators, and the foreign animators were students, and that really made me connect to my own experience in the early 2000s. And I've even voiced and worked on some of the art pieces my friends put together. So all that to say, it had what the director describes as it was raw and unique in a refreshing way, and that's what jumped out. It truly it was a collection of artists just going forward, no boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a power. It feels raw and unique, and that's really cool. And if Bird of Paradise was about some of the folly of youth, it's really cool to know that this one was made by younger people who have such a fountain of creativity before they have had their souls crushed.
before they go work 10 years on SpongeBob. Yeah.
Before SpongeBob crushes the life out of them. All right. We should be getting ready for our live show, so we'll wrap it up here. Sorry, I kind of went out of control on this last one because it was phenomenal.
It's great.
Pitch it back to you to take us home.
Yes. Hey, everybody. Thanks for following us on this journey of Star Wars Visions Volume 3. We'll see if we're back next year. I don't know if there's any official announcement on 4, but we know we have the 9th Jedi series and all that stuff. So continue to take the swing through it. We know there's a lot of passionate fans behind this. So let us know your comments down below on these episodes, what you like about them and all that good stuff. If you're listening on the podcast, thanks for hanging out with us there. Don't forget, on the podcast feed, you can get the rebroadcast episodes of Databank Brawl. You can support us directly at patreon.com/ForceCenter. Follow me at Ken Napzok. I want to highlight some things on my 2 Bandcamp pages. There's the Ken Napzok Bandcamp page. I do have my comedy special, In My Day. If you want to purchase that and help me get through the holiday season, that'd be great. Head over to kennapzok.bandcamp.com. Also, the musical project I work on, The Moonagers, has a new single coming out December 2nd. Look for that on Bandcamp as well. It's a good old-fashioned breakup song. So that's some of the stuff I'm highlighting that I'm working on. Hang out with me every week on the Blathering Live on YouTube, too. Joseph, you've been working on a lot of art recently and still going. Where can I find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky and Instagram and all the social media. If you'd like to help with Dead Media, there's still a couple of ways that you could do that. Dead Media is the horror film I've been working on for a while now. It is basically complete, and now I begin the adventure of trying to get it out to the world, which can be a hard road. So if you'd like to help, you can sign up for the Dead Media mailing list, where we will update you on any screenings, film festivals, all sorts of things like that. And we actually do still have our relationship with Film North, a wonderful organization in Minnesota that collects tax-deductible donations. And the film is complete, but hey, getting out in the world, it turns out, is real expensive too. So if you need a tax break and want to help me out, you can find a link to Film North on my website, josephscrimshaw.com. That is it.
There you go. Wonderful stuff. All right. So for all the stormtroopers dying, we'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.